Flying back around again.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Shuffle podcast. Today we have Hector, aka Sky here, also known as Leftynueve in the
Lefty.
social medias too. So how are you, Hector?
I'm doing great out here with my boy from Spain. Been wanting to do this podcast for a while. He's got some great people on here, and I'm thankful for being the next person on here.
Thank you for coming. So first of all, like to me, it was like because I didn't know that. So when I was asking you what name am I going to put into the overlay, you told me Sky, and I didn't know about your AKA Sky. I just knew about your name in the social media, which is Lefty, and your real name, which is Hector. So how's this name, and why does not many people know this? Because I live in Spain, and a lot of people knows you just as Lefty. So how's this nickname and everything?
Yeah, so I think most people with social media, just in general, they're used to having their AKA or like their nickname, their dance name as their profile name on their social medias like Twitter or Instagram. But actually, my dance name is actually Sky, and Leftynueve is just the handle for my social medias because I just had that nickname for my whole life, and I made my Instagram a long time ago. So I guess people just started calling me like Lefty because that's like short for Leftynueve, which is my Instagram name. And it just kind of stuck around. It's like a catchy nickname and really common as well, Lefty. So I think a lot of people think that that's actually my dance name, but like everybody here local to me from California or like in the United States in general, or people that have known me from like way back since I started dancing, they know that I go as Sky. I think Lefty is something that is like newer to like this newer generation, like social media and stuff. But I mean, I don't mind. I like both nicknames, but like my dance name is Sky. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you go to a competition and you ask and they ask you, okay, what name do you want to be called as? And you say Sky.
Yeah, I would say Sky.
Okay. So for the people who didn't know this, here we have Sky. Okay, so let's kick this off with a little bit about you. There's maybe someone who doesn't know you yet if they're not very into the US scene. So what are your origins? How do you get started on shuffling? Which year? How do you find it? So talk a little bit through that.
Yeah, so I started dancing around 2009. This was like during the Hardstyle Republic era. I think this is when that video first goes viral. It's like the Hardstyle Republic video, the Moonboy video, and it was like a really it was a generation really big on hardstyle and hardstyle music in general. So I just remember one of my friends showed me the Hardstyle Republic video, and like the music. I remember DJ Angerfist was really big around that time as well, and it was just like really loud music. It was a new sound, and I just remember thinking, wow, this is like really cool. Like I feel like I could do this movement, and then I just tried it, and I realized it was harder than I thought. So at first it was just like something, I started doing in my living room, in my room by myself, just like practicing. And then little did I know, the scene started growing here in LA and California in general. And I started finding people that were doing the same dance. Because at first I was kind of like shy and like embarrassed because I felt like it was like a silly thing. Because I personally don't come from a background of like any other dance. That was like my first introduction to dance in general. I never really been a big dancer at family parties or anything either. So I was kind of like embarrassed, but I found a community and like friends of mine that started learning as well. And then that's how I came across the underground techno scene here in LA and Los Angeles. So I was around 13 years old, sneaking out of my house to go to these underground parties with like 18, 20-year-olds. But, I just wanted to be out there for the music and for the dance. Like I was just so attracted to the dance. Like I would sneak out of my house, I would skip school just to be out in these parties. And then the underground scene started involving into the crews. And at first, I remember I went through like the hardstyle phase, and then I picked up on like the Malaysian style and the style that's was picked up in Brazil. I remember Brazil really picked up that style as well.
Mm-hmm.
So those were my idols back then. People like Speedo Devo, uh, Soul Faction, like the Malaysian people from Brazil, the Malaysian style from Brazil. And that's actually how I remember that people were looking at that those big steps and those big high knees from those styles, and people started adapting that here. So that's what became known as Cali style here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how everything has started evolving here from those styles and those big movements. And yeah, that's pretty much the the route that I took from my dancing. I started picking up little by little from those styles, and now I just put everything together and dance however I feel like and creating my own thing.
And how's the community in these years in 2009? Were you living in Los Angeles, right? You said.
Yeah, so around this time, I'm living here in Los Angeles. Till this day, I still live here. Around this time, the community was really underground. Uh, it was like it was really electro as well. I remember electro was really big back here, like the tectonic, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why I remember speaking to you about how like the beginning stages of dancing here kind of look like what is known as shapes now, because it had a big influence from like tectonic and like electro music. So like that like crisscross movement was
Mm-hmm.
really big here at one point. Yeah, so that started evolving, and then people started getting more serious about like, okay, I could do this, but you can't. So that's when crews started growing here. Uh, I mean, LA in general is just known for like gang activity and like people with attitude, and like just like really it's a really it turned into a really street it turned to a street dance, just like other cultures kind of like hip hop did coming up. So people really treated the dance with like a lot of pride. So that pride led with a lot of passion. People took it really personal, and that's what made like really tense. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it was a really tense community around that time. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people think that it was a bad thing. But I actually think that that's what created so many good dancers. Because when you have like a lot of passion and pride in something, and like you want to be better, and it's not all competition is not bad competition. So I feel like that generation really built a lot of rivalry and competition around that time.
Mm-hmm.
So from that stage, from like 2009 2012, that was like the golden years for shuffling here. And I just kind of feel like when the whole LMFAO thing happened, I feel like a lot of people were going through, because keep in mind, coming up in this dance, I was only 13, but all the people that I grew up dancing with were going from 17 to 19. So you're making a transition in life where you're going from being a teenager into being an adult. So a lot of people just had more responsibilities, and like the LMFAO video came on, and I just feel like the dance here started dying out because people felt like it was like they felt kind of embarrassed, so they felt like they were outgrowing it, and it was just something they were going to leave in the past. So around this time, uh, it was kind of hard to like stay motivated. I feel like the only times I would like engage with people were like in Facebook groups or like YouTube. But then even YouTube started dying out at one point, and yeah, that's. I feel like there was a big gap in my dancing from like 2012 to like 2014. And in 2014, well, in the first cruise I was in GDK, which was one of the top crews here in LA. And at that point, a lot of my friends were making that big switch from going from teenagers to being adults. A lot of them have kids now. A lot of them, had full time jobs. and they just didn't continue to dance. And I was like stuck in. I was probably like 16 years old, so I was still stuck in like a really difficult stage in life where it's like all my friends are older than me and they're moving on to like different things, but me, like, I still love this dance. And yeah, it was really hard to stay motivated. I only had friends like through the computer, through videos.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, around this time I was in high school and I kind of dropped the dance for a bit. I was focusing on playing soccer. I was working on getting a soccer scholarship for university. And then around this time is when I meet Taco in 2014. And he was still really in love with the dance. And he just came with his idea where it's like, okay, I'm going to find the best of the best that are remaining here in California, and I'm gonna form a group of like the remaining people that are still carrying this dance, but like the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I went out to my first festival, which was EDC 2014, and I was just like amazed because that was where I met a lot of people from FTS, and it just made me realize like, wow, like a lot of people are still dancing. So then, yeah, that was like, I feel like that kind of revived like the passion in dancing since that day in 2014, and I just been dancing ever since. I haven't stopped. But yeah, those are like the different stages in the different generations. It's kind of like it stops and then it goes and then it stops and then it goes. So even if God forbids me or you stop dancing, someone else is gonna pick it up like in the future sooner or later. Because I've experienced it from 2009 to 2012, then it picked up in 2014 to 2016 and kind of paused a little bit, and I feel like it's picking back up right now. So that's why when I tell you I have like a good feeling right now, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I feel it because I've seen those different generations and I've seen the timing, and I just feel like something good is coming right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's really cool, and to live this kind of stages too, it makes you understand that when people say like the community is going down or the movement is going down, you actually know that the things is not about like the movement is not something uh, like that that makes everything go one way or another. Like it's the people who remain who make the things happen. So as long
Yeah.
as you have people who will be working and trying to reach out to new people who to get started and get into shuffling, like I don't see like any danger in any stage. Like in this due to COVID, there's a lot of people that stopped dancing, or they don't go to the meetups, and they still dance or still interested, but because this like gap year, they're like I don't feel that motivated. And a lot of people is thinking, yeah, the movement is going down, but if you're active and you see what's happening everywhere, like I don't see the movement going down. So
Hmm.
it's just how do people see the movement, not about the actual movement. So I think
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
really important to keep dancing and have a better vision of how's the dance and the movement going.
Yeah, that like I remember there was many times where like I feel like, man, like I just feel like I'm kind of like losing motivation or passion, and then all it takes is just one good session with like your best friends or like people that you look up to or people that motivate you. It just takes that one session. It just all it takes is one live session, and then you fall in love with the dance again.
Hmm.
That's how I always do. Whenever I feel like I'm losing passion or something, I just hit up my friends like, hey, we got to get a session, and then I just fall in love with the dance again.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really good to find these things that trigger you in the good way. So when you
Yeah.
feel like you're down, or I don't know, like you don't feel motivated, you just do that, and
Hmm.
automatically you just start motivating again and wanting to dance every day. So this kind of happened to me, after the being quarantined for many months, and I was like with no physique because we couldn't go outside, like we couldn't go practicing, and my physique was like super bad compared to what we used to do, you know, because if you when
Yeah.
you are a lot of years dancing every week, many times a week, and then you lose that, it's super hard to get to this point again, so you need a lot of work. So it's a little bit frustrating when you get to this point. And I was like, I didn't feel motivated in the way that, like, I couldn't get my creativity out. It was very difficult, and I was also getting tired super fast. So I, like, my mindset was like, you know that you love shuffling, you have passion for this. It's just you need to practice, and when you start practicing, you will start to come out with things again, and you will start feeling this uplifting momentum that dancing gives you.
Yeah, you feel it. You just feel it.
Yeah, so like I also do this kind of things too. When you don't know something, if you know that you love something, you just force you to do these things that may trigger you to do better and to have more motivation. So if you guys listening have something like this that motivates you, have it like as a weapon for these down moments, because it's really useful.
Yeah, another thing that is really useful is sometimes I go, well, if I'm feeling like in a funk or I just feel motivated or whatever. Sometimes all you need to do is you need to take a break from the music, and then uh, one day you just need to look for music, and then if you find that one song that like gives you goosebumps and it makes you want to dance, that's all it takes sometimes. So that's also another thing I do. There's times where I just take a break from the music, and then one day I just go on SoundCloud or YouTube and I start looking for music, and I just hear that it just takes that one song that will make you like, oh, I need to dance to that. That's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, some months ago, I was like, I was dancing, but I wasn't dancing that much. Like I was normal dancing, but not to the point where I'm like uh, super exercising with me and doing more trainings and more things. So it was like I was on Instagram. I saw a video from someone I didn't follow. Like it was a hip hop video thing, and I was seeing it, and you know the song, the vibes. I was like, oof, man, I need to dance more. Like this sensation, like this moment, it was like I need to do this more. So I agree that it all that it takes is just one thing. It can be one song, one video, whatever. But
Yeah, it's really important to know what that one thing is for you, and like when you feel it, like take action on it. Because if you let it go, you'll just like make it a habit, and you'll just let it fly by, and then next thing you know, you already went 2 3 months without dancing, and the longer you go, the more motivated you get. Yep.
okay, let's talk a little bit about right now. You mentioned the cruise, so let's talk a little bit about the cruise. And first off, I'm going to ask you about Star 67 because is the crew that I don't know if it keeps active. I know the page is still active, but I don't know if the crew as itself they keep doing you keep doing things. But how's this crew starting? Is this crew the ones that Taco starting when you told me before? And who was in the crew and how was a little bit from when it's born to what it is right now? So talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So around 2014, when Taco made this crew, the original idea was because around this time a lot of the crews had died out, like they were inactive, but a lot of these crews had really great dancers that still wanted to dance. So the idea was to create a crew that would have all these people in and make them feel like they're in a family again, and just to like share the same passion and motivation for dancing again. So that was the initial idea. So then we started dancing, and we just realized like, okay, we're like really good, like we could like do some crazy like amazing things if we just like keep working harder, right? So around this time we were just some of the activities that we were doing, we were meeting up to lab and to session, We're going out to eat together. We're going out to amusement parks. We're going to festivals together. But it got to a point where it's like, okay, we are really good. We're great. We want to get a little more serious with like the dance itself. We need to be a little more disciplined. We have so many opportunities. Around this time in 2015, 2016, when like the Instagram algorithm was barely like becoming like this big thing that a lot of people were trying to master, we started noticing like, wow, like we could get a lot of views and a lot of followers, and then we could eventually like, get like big opportunities. So around this time, we actually got invited to film for a DJ at the YouTube uh, studio here in Santa Monica. This is the YouTube headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of our first experience where we felt like, wow, like we could like do something amazing like with our dancing. Like it's people actually see us as dancers. But I feel like around that time, many people in our crew, and man, there's so many people to name. We just had like the best of the best, and like from so many crews, we had so many people. The thing is, was around this time we were trying to separate from just like going to festivals because we felt like, okay, we're just going to festivals and we're spending money, we're wasting money dancing in these places when we could just practice and then get paid to be dancing and to be getting these opportunities. And I felt like around that time, a lot of people in our crew just felt like they weren't like as disciplined or as they weren't as serious with the dance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when a lot of our members started like kind of like falling out, and we just started like kind of just separating like the people that were really serious about dancing to the people that kind of just wanted it to be as a hobby or like dancing at festivals. So it was kind of like, all right, like you're still family, like you're always gonna be like family to us, but it's like, you're carrying the name, but it's like we have so much potential to do something, and it's like we can't just let it be just like a name that you take to a festival or that you represent for popularity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how we had some issues with a lot of members and a lot of people, a lot of personal things in between. So at the end, it kind of just came down to Gilly, Taco, and me, pretty much, and Boombox at one point. But right now, where we stand is, we have some projects that we're trying to do, but at the end of the day, we still like always meet up and we laugh. We're just like the thing is, a lot of us have like personal. I mean, I just graduated from university. Taco's also going to school and he works. Gilly has his own thing going on. But I mean, we're still trying to recruit some people in the future. We have some people we're constantly in touch with that at one point we want them to be part of our crew. And we have like some projects that we have coming up. For example, this thing I'm doing in Wisconsin. Hopefully that opens doors with dancers in like hip hop and all style battles for us to be able to have our shuffling events in collaboration together. Yeah, so these are some things that we have in mind. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened with Star 67. We just had so much potential, and we just had some of our friends that were not ready for to take that, or they weren't that serious about the dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is really important, having this common grounds like this same like conditions. So to be here, we need to be serious. We need to be willing to do training sessions, do lab, do whatever, like whatever the mission or the goal is. Like everybody needs to be on board with this. If not, this leads to uh, miscommunication, people expecting things from others that the others are not willing to do, and this when there's problems starting to arise. So I agree that it's really important having everyone in mind. So if the crew was made to start it and with this goal in mind, and there was people who wasn't like uh, getting at least to this expectation, I understand that you decide to say, okay, so you need to drop the crew, or you need to quit, or like, not because you don't like this person, but because this person is not committing enough to what the project is. So it's really depending on what are the grounds of the project and what are the goals of the project. So as long as this is very clear right from the beginning, I don't think there hasn't to be any problem.
Yeah, there wasn't any problem. Like I'm still friends with all these people. We still keep in touch. It's just it got to a point where it's like, we just have a big vision in mind, and it's really hard to find people that are like on the same mindset as you. But I mean, all you need is a few people, and once you get that down, you could accomplish anything. But that's why we're so a lot of people always want to join the crew, but it's just like, we're not. It's more than just a crew, or more than the old crew mentality. Because back in the day, being in a crew, just like, okay, I'm gonna represent this name, I'm gonna carry the prestige and the privilege of the name. But it's like it's more than that nowadays. It's like, what can you create within the group? Like, are you gonna what can you bring to the table, and do you have the discipline? Because most people think it's just like, oh, I have to be a good dancer, but it's not about being a good dancer. It's just, are you a good person? Do you have the same goals in mind? Do you have the same dedication? So yeah, I feel like, it's just more than just a crew nowadays. And I mean, I feel like that's why a lot of crews fail here in Los Angeles and California in general. There's like new crews like all the time. And that's why we kept our vision really clear, because we have so much experience from like being from so many generations of the dances. So we know what leads to a crew to fail. So we always kept our members and our friends away from that, so that our crew doesn't fail or it doesn't fall apart. So as soon as we started seeing those little signs, we just had to like get rid of some people, or just put some people aside, and like really focus on what we're trying to do. So that's a really common thing here in Los Angeles and California in general. There's like people that join one crew, and then they end up joining another one, and then they leave that one, and then they go to another one. And it's just like, like, why even be in a crew if you're not going to battle, or you're not going to create events, you're not going to lab, you're not going to train, you're not going to create choreography together. I feel like that's a big thing that needs to be talked about nowadays, like what a crew is. And there's a big misconception. We can't keep the same mentality from 2009. Like, a crew cannot just be like, oh, I'm gonna go battle, I'm gonna go and like, beat someone, or I'm gonna just like show off. We can't just be that nowadays. So that's what we're trying to change, and we're just trying to be more like, we're just trying to create more and engage more with people, and create projects that are not just about us. It's like about what we could offer to people. That's what I think a crew should be. And when I see hip hop crews or crumb groups or popping crews, like, that should be the example that we should be setting.
So yeah, like if you join a group and you don't, as we said, like you're not willing to do anything, or just join because you like the crew and nothing else, it's just, then why does the crew even exist if there's people that is joining but they're not doing anything? So it's like pretty useless. Like, it doesn't matter if they join or if they don't, because it will be the same.
Yep.
And with Boombox, I talked about the cruise back in 2010, 11, and he was telling me that every Saturday there was like a club with a lot of people and cruise
Oh man.
battling. So how was this into how did you live these years?
Oh man, this is like the best years of my life. Like, you have events starting from Tuesday. There was something called Dance Tuesdays. Then there was something called Groove Thursdays. Then There was Dirty Disco or Electrotistic on Fridays and Saturdays. Then on Sundays you had these events called Shuffle Sundays and Strawberry Sundays. So you literally have like events every day of the week.
Hmm.
But I mean the best ones were on Friday or Saturday where all the where all the most popular crews would show up. So, all the trash talking would go on YouTube and on Facebook. So if a shuffler or a crew dropped a new video, then you will see the other crew like, you're copying my move, or like, I'm better, blah blah. So then it just creates like drama and tension, and then you're just excited because that weekend you're gonna see what happens with that, or the beef, they're gonna battle it out or whatever. So it was always like exciting, like it was just always so exciting. And the thing is, you would walk into the club and all the best people were in a big circle in the front. So if you were not good, you couldn't even stand in that circle. You had to be in the back practicing or whatever. Like that circle was for the best of the best, and it was just like a privilege to be in that circle. And like the hype you felt when you dance in that circle, like the energy, the goosebumps is just. I mean, you know how it feels like to dance in a circle, but like
Hmm.
how it felt to be in those circles, that was like some of the best times of my
Hmm.
life. Like it was badass.
And like in these circles, uh, was there something that was telling you, okay, now you're ready? Was it because you saw outside these clubs and these places that people was telling you, oh, like you're getting really good, and you start to get encouraged to go to the circles? How was it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was if you had like a lot of hype on your newest video on YouTube, or if you were from one of the most popular crews, like if you were an upcoming shuffler and like people thought you were good, then they would recruit you to their crew. So then now it's like that gives you the pass, like, okay, like now I belong here in the circle. And then you go in the circle, and I mean, if you get the hype, I mean, people, that means people are respecting what you're doing, and they think that it's really tight, it's really good. So yeah, I feel like that's where it came from. Like you kind of knew it. You're like, all right, like I know I got it. Like it's just a confidence that you start picking up on. Like people like see you, that you're improving, you're getting better.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was like weekend after weekend, like someone brought like a new move, so you had to like beat that move, or you had to beat that person or that style. So yeah, it was
Hmm.
pretty crazy.
Yes, that leads to make people go very very into trainings and willing to improve every single week. Like you need to come up with something, as you said. So in some way, these crews and rivalry, all these things can be toxic if people has personal problems inside or at the same time. But when it's just about dancing, this is super good because it keeps the people motivated. It pushes everyone to train more, to come up with new things. So that's what happens with competitions right now in Spain, at least. Like they just push people to come
I
up with more things.
I wish that's how it was when I was young, but I have some pretty crazy stories. Like there was times where like people even brought like guns or like
Wow,
knives over shuffling. Like that's how serious it was.
I
Because
would like to be there in this moment.
yeah, like a lot of these like shufflers were also like gang members at one point. So it's like, in the club I'm a shuffler, but outside I'm a gangster. So it's like inside is the dancing, but outside there's times where like people would end up fighting,
Hmm.
or like shooting at each other, like trying to stab each other. But I mean that just goes to show that like dance was like an escape for people. Like
Hmm.
yeah, there's like a lot of violence and like a lot of stuff like that out here around that time, but it's like dance was just an escape from all that.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's like I feel like that if it wasn't for dance, for that dance specific, like a lot of people like would have gone like the wrong way or done other bad things.
Hmm.
But instead, like we spend our nights at the club dancing and battling and stuff.
Hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah, in some way it's good, but in another way it was also when these things were happening. It's just a little bit dangerous for some people to be there.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the Cali scene. I also talked with Boombox about the Cali scene, but how does this style starts to arise? How do you pick it up? Because you also particularly, I would say that you have this style. So how was the these years of the Cali starting to emerging? You also said that it was very similar to Shapes in some way because you were emerging with a lot of with electro dancers in clubs. So how was these years?
Yeah, so I feel like around the first years, uh, the way I see it, it also has to do a lot with the music and how the music was changing around this time because around these years, I remember electro was really big at one point. So I feel like the electro, like the tectonic vibe, had an influence on the movement of the feet, and that's why I was telling you that at one point the beginning stages of shuffling here kind of look like cutting shapes. So that's why I feel like a lot of people get angry because they're like, why is this getting hype? Like that's how I used to look when I was a beginner.
Hmm.
So people's definition of beginner, that's kind of how it looked. But yeah, I remember around this time when music started changing, the dancing started changing as well. And I think I see Boombox mentioned how people started getting influence from like the Malaysian style and like the Speedo Devo style and like the Running Man from like these other styles. And I think he also mentioned Rare, which I do remember him. He was like a really big influential person for the dancing back here. So yeah, people started picking up on like the movement from these videos in Malaysia and like the Hardstyle Republic, Speedo Devo in specific, with that really big Running Man. And the music also changed around that time. I remember Afrojack was really big around that time. Specific songs that just had like a really big and loud kick to it, and it just went really well with the dancing that started changing here. Uh, yeah, Rare was really influential here. A lot of other people here. One of my friends, D Boy from GDK, he was also a huge influence to me. One of my biggest influences. Yeah, there's so many people that just don't even dance anymore. But these people out here back in the day, they were like the best. Like it was insane how the dance was just evolving around
And
that time.
and how would you start working on your Kali style in these years? Like what elements and what things would you having in mind? Were you having in mind when go to shuffle sessions?
Yeah, so like me personally, I never really considered myself Cali style because like even though all my friends were Cali style around this time, my biggest influence was the mass style from the Brazilians from Soul Faction. So that was always my biggest. Those are the people I looked up to, and that's the style that I always wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the first styles that I picked up, and that's the style that I still represented here.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, as the music changes, your movement kind of changes with the music. So you kind of like add more like Cali flavor to the styles. So around that time, a lot of people were adding a lot of like stutter stepping and a lot of uh, like moving of the feet. One of my friends from the Star 67 tapes, he was one of like he was also a really influential person. The way if you watch his videos, it's not necessarily like shapes, but now that I look back at it, it kind of does look like some shapes footwork or just the way that footwork plays with the music.
Mm-hmm.
That started to create like a really big change and a lot of upper body work, like for example, like taunts stuff like that. Yeah, these are a lot of things that started changing the style around that time. But the main theme was just the Running Man, like that big wide Running Man. That was the
Yeah, with the high
what
knee.
everybody wanted. That was the staple there. That's what everybody wanted to have. That's the main thing that made it Cali. here.
Hmm.
That big Running
And
Man. Chinese.
okay, so you said that you were really follow wanting to follow these people and get this Malaysian style. So, what elements of the Malaysian were you trying to pursue? Like, what things were you training and taking into account when shuffling?
What I would watch their videos and the way that they would shift their shoulders and the way they would add them into the Running Man, the way it shifted the momentum, and the Malaysian T step, which was a step over with the slide to the sides, and some of the spins. Those were all things that were really different to any of the other styles, and those are things that I just wanted to. I wanted to look like that. So I remember I would even dress like some of these people with like the camel pants and dance barefoot, and I was just trying to like achieve that look because I thought it looked really cool with the music because the music was different too. The music was like hard trance, hard dance music. So I wanted to achieve that look because it was completely different from the look that we had here. So those were all things that I was paying attention to. The way they placed their feet on the foot, it was completely different from a Melbourne T step. It was a different variation. So that's how I started thinking. Okay, like how is this a style? It's just someone else moved differently and it turned into a style. So that's how I started changing in my mind about dancing. And that's what made me start like switching more things because I started to question things. Yeah.
and and what things were you questioning? Like, what things were this? Okay, shuffling is this and this. Were you saying, but can I do this thing, or can I change this step this way? So what were the things that you were starting to question yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Those were some things I was asking myself. I was thinking, okay, if if this Malaysian or Brazilian style is this considered a T step, or why would it not be considered a T step? Or why is this a style if this is just someone decided to move differently from the Melbourne style and it just turned into a style? Or these are just questions that I started to ask myself. So I started to ask myself, okay, if I create a different variation of this movement, would it become a style of its own? So I started to ask myself, how, like, what makes a style a style? Does that make sense? What
Yes,
makes a style a style?
yes.
So I started thinking, like, you could call something a style if 1,000 people start to believe in it. It becomes a style because everybody believes in it. And then you have 5 people saying it's not a style, but you have 1,000 people saying that it is a style.
Yeah, but it also
Is
needs
the
to make sense
mm-hmm.
within the dance. It's not just about
Yeah.
beliefs, I think.
So that's those are all things that I started to question myself. So I started. I didn't really like to label my dancing as style after that because there was times where I dance and then people would say, "Well, this is not this style," or "This is not." I remember there was a time where people were saying that Malaysian style was not shuffling because it didn't have enough T step. I remember that was also something that how people would tell the Russians like, okay, you need more T step when you're dancing. So these are all things I started to question myself. Okay, like how much do these things matter in the dance, and like how do I want to dance? So I started taking what I liked from all the styles, from Malaysian, from the Brazilian variations, from I started the way the Russian were moving. I just started saying, okay, these everybody is moving differently because of the culture in that area and what they're dancing to and the genre of music they dance to. So then I started to focus more on what was special about where I was living, the music that we were dancing to, the other dance styles that were around us, and that's when I started to not really like focus on mastering like a certain style or like how a certain person was moving, and I started paying more attention to how I was moving and what I liked about myself, and that's where I am now today. But those are all the different stages that I went through as a dancer. Uh, I had the Malaysian phase, the Brazilian phase. I was in love with Melbourne rocking at one point, and just like T stepping and the quality of the T step and all that. And I mean, I could still do all of them, but now I don't really like to like separate them as a style. It's just a dance and like how I want to move, or like
Mm-hmm.
depends on the song that I'm dancing to and what looks the best with that song. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, about this topic, you know, lately and not that lately, I hear people doing comments. You know, to me, there's a thing that more people needs to acknowledge, that is that shuffling is not just the running man, the T-step, slides, kicks, and like these basic things, because these are moves, and the moves don't make the dance. Like the dance has a more deep foundation, which make the steps look like they are from this style. Because for example, they also have the running man on the hip hop. The running man is from the hip hop and then used into shuffling. But why does it look different? The same is the same. The step is the same, and the ways, you know, the mechanics is the same. It's just why. In shuffling, for example, we have this stomping, which makes the running man more aggressive, and how do we place our weight. So, you know, when you start seeing the steps more like this, not just as the moves, but is the running man from shuffle this way, and why is it different? And it looks different than hip hop. So when you start seeing these things, you start to see that it's not just about doing the running man or T-step. It's more about, you know, controlling the stomping, controlling the shuffling when you drag your foot on the ground, when you do the hops. So to me it's more about this, like you take these elements, which are the way that the steps are executed, then you have these basic steps, like these foundational steps too, T-step, running man, Charleston. But then, if you don't do these steps, that doesn't mean you're not shuffling. Because if you manage to, as you said, maybe you feel that you don't need to T-step, but you do, you know, for example, three stomps, or you glide and you put one slide after another, or you are like swiveling and dragging your foot to the ground until you go back and stomp again with T-step or running man, whatever step you want. So what, to me, it doesn't make sense to say this is not shuffling, even though he's not T-stepping, but he's like remaining with the essence of what really shuffling is. Shuffling is not just a T-step. It is very important, but it's not just that. So you don't need to be all the time doing this. So would you tell Russians that they were not shuffling? Like, it doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah, it was there were some crazy times back in like the Facebook days, and like I remember being in like these like shuffle groups with like all these dancers from like all over the world, and there was always these like arguments that people are still having to this day. And yeah, it was interesting seeing like all the different uh point of views from like all the people from all across the world, and how everything was changing. Yeah, it was different times.
Mm-hmm. You know, about the styles, some time ago, like I heard that there's people when, because in Spain, like we had like many stages too, and there was this time like in 2015, 16, where Mark Thor, Guerrero, and all these guys picked up the shapes from the UK, and they kind of changed the style of how cutting shapes is executed. But you know, in UK they keep dancing the same way, but and some people started saying Spain style or Spain shapes, like some of these things, and I was like, why is this? Like, these people got inspired by the UK, but you know, the music is different. They start, you know, because the music is different, they start to do the steps a little bit stronger, or they developed a little bit more things than just like the easy things, or the basic things they were doing back in these days in the UK. But you know, it's dance developing. It's not a new style. You take a style and you develop it. It's not like a new sub style which has very different things the from the other. like from this first one. You would see, yeah, a little bit more aggressive maybe, or with wider movements. But you know, like they weren't acknowledging, like people in Spain, they weren't acknowledging that they were creating a new style, because to them they weren't. They were just taking up the style, dancing, and and dance their own way. So it was not just about like in Spain. Not many people is about labeling, and you know, lately too, when we started to do a lot of lab, try to understand the dance more in deep, and we started to dance very different from other people around the world. And I also heard sometimes if we have like a particular style of dancing, and to us it's like, no man, we just take what exists and try to understand it better and try to develop it and find more ways of execution. So to us it's not like anything special that we do, like different from what already exists. It's just we take what exists, we try to get more knowledgeable about it, and then we try to expand it and try to have more tools and have more resources about the same things. So to me, like it doesn't make sense right now to create or label new styles, because to me, like it's the point where new styles uh, get created. To me, it's over. Like I don't think we're going to see more different style creation. Now you can see personal styles, like depending on the person, how they interpret the things that they learn is going to make people dance one way or another. But it's right now everything is it's global. The styles we're creating because some cultural specific in some place, about the culture in this place, the music, everything was just by this. Like there wasn't much communication with other parts of the world, so like you could see different parts of the world developing into a particular style. But right now, to me, it doesn't make sense anymore to come up with new styles or labels or tags. To me,
Yeah,
it just limits
I
people.
yeah, I don't, yeah, I don't really, because we experience the same thing. That I mean, the same way that you're saying that, you know, people would tell Mark Tor and you guys, like, you guys were not, that it wasn't that it wasn't, that you guys were not shaping, or that you guys were changing or whatever. I know there was times where when we started like experimenting with the dancing, because we were not experimenting because we wanted to change the style or we wanted to create a style. We were bored of
Mm-hmm.
what existed. So we knew that there's more to it, or more to be added, or more ways to create. So we had already experienced the old school phase, the Malaysian phase, the Melbourne phase. We had already like went through all the phases, and so we just wanted to interpret music differently, because we started being exposed to dance in general through hip hop or through crumb, through popping, and we just started seeing how they interpret music. So we started hearing music differently, and we just wanted to move differently because we wanted to. But yeah, we also went through the same stages where people were like, "This is not shuffling," or this looks stupid," or "This is not shuffling anymore," or blah blah blah. But it's like, I mean, people are just used to what their idea of the dance is, and that's always gonna be around to this day. You could perfectly T-step and Running Man. Is someone that doesn't like you is gonna tell you that you're not shuffling, because they don't want you to. They don't want it to be shuffling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always been a thing. I know there's people from like Melbourne that don't never liked the Malaysian style, or they never liked anything, and they just want you to T-step. That's it, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll say that if you're not doing T-step at all, you're not shuffling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've heard all the different arguments and all the different labels or whatever, but it's funny how most of these things come from people that are not even active or don't even dance or haven't innovated or contributed anything to the dance. So that's why I don't really I don't really worry about anything. I just, I just focus more on like the good and like the people that I have influenced over the years. Like I know I keep in touch with like friends from like China, Japan, Korea, like people that were inspired. I would have never thought that I was gonna inspire people in like halfway across the world. So it's like, am I gonna focus on someone saying that I'm not shuffling, or am I gonna go focus on people that I'm inspiring right now? So yeah, there's always gonna be people that are gonna say like
Hmm.
what you're doing is not
Yeah,
dancing or it's not shuffling. But I mean,
I think like, you know, in Spain, this happened inside of Spain and outside of Spain. So when you start doing things that people don't understand, like, because at the end of the day, as you did, as more people for sure did around the world, when you start to getting new ideas into shuffling and think outside the box, shuffling starts look different. So if you, like, when someone don't understand how did you get to this point of execution and they don't understand the process or the concept, they will say this is not a normal T-step that I can understand, so I don't understand it, so this is not shuffling. And to me, it doesn't work like this. So when you start to talk with people, when they don't want to understand, or it doesn't matter, like, if they don't want to understand or they don't know how this thing is executed, if in their head they can't get how is this thing done, to them you're not doing good, because they can't do it and they don't understand it. So
yeah,
you're not doing shuffling, because shuffling is what they do, and you're doing something they don't understand. So they feel like, am I missing something? Like, maybe I've been in the movement for many years, or not, but I know the basics, and like, this guy doesn't look like doing the basics. But like, this moment of they of collapsing, like, because they see it and they're like, what am I seeing? Like, I don't get it. If these people tell you that this is not shuffling, this is probably because they, in their minds, it doesn't make sense and they can't understand what you're doing. But if you know that you got to this point respecting the essence of the dance, and
yeah, exactly.
and you elaborated the step to a point where it's more complex and maybe a little bit more abstract, sometimes yes, sometimes not. But if you know this, like, you don't care about what these people say. Like, is their problem, not yours. So if you're, as you said, focus on the people that you're doing right to and you're inspiring. So if there's a lot of people interested in what you do, and there's one or two guys that come and tell you, oh man, this is not shuffling because blah blah blah, but you're having students or people in the meetups, and you're explaining them how to get to this point, and they say, oh yes, okay, it makes sense. So who's really not understanding shuffling? Like,
Yeah, that's what's funny to me because I mean, to this day, some of those people that used to laugh at what we were doing and what we were adding to the dance and like how we were moving differently and how we were interpreting music, like now these people are barely catching on to that, and now they're barely trying to get to that point. So I mean, it feels good because it just goes to show that we were not wrong. We were just doing what we felt like doing, and now more people are getting to that point, or now people are being exposed to, okay, like there's many other ways to interpret like different things in the music, and people are just being more open to finding different ways to move. Yeah, it's funny because some people like that used to laugh at it. I see them trying to do the same things now, so it's like, oh, there you are. Yeah,
5 years later.
yeah. 5 years later, now you're barely trying to get to that level. I mean, it's
Hmm.
cool though. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. Like, when you believe in this and you say, I know this is the way, and you keep doing it, you keep doing it, and maybe there's people that don't believe in this. You don't need to care. If you know what you're doing, just keep doing it, and probably one day, if you get big or you influence a lot of people to take up these ideas, they would start they will start feeling that they're the few, not the many. So
Mm-hmm.
the, like there's a phrase in Spain. There's a say that is like, um, when the crazy are the many, the crazy will be the few. So something like this. I don't know like the literal translation if
Yeah,
it makes
I that.
sense.
Yeah,
So to me it's like this, like when there's not many people doing this, those are the craziest, but when more people start to do that, the ones left not doing it are the crazy ones, because they're not
yeah,
taking the the trend of how the dance is developing.
yeah. Because people get so stuck on the past, and then when everything moves on without you, and then you're like, ah, I got left behind. Why? Because you wanted to stay behind.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's why when people were telling us that, it's like, I always knew what I was doing because I went through all the generations. I study the style, the dance. Like, I know the dance. So I mean, I never really took it personal. Like, I had some issues with people. Like, to this day, they would like try to like say things to us or like Star 6 7 in general, like, oh, blah blah. But I mean, I never, I try not to worry about it. I mean, maybe back then when I was like 16, 17, maybe I did, say some crazy things. But I mean, now it's just like, I got better things to do.
For sure. We are like, we need to go to focus more on the style. Like, don't talk us shit about this is not
Yeah.
shuffling. Let us dance. Let us practice and do whatever you want.
Yep.
Okay, let's jump to the next topic. Let's talk about the lab. We mentioned about this thing called the lab or labbing many times. So, what is the lab to you? Because you're always saying you've been many years, as you say, going to the lab or labbing, and you also have in your profile the lab mentality. So, to you, what is the lab and the action of labbing?
Okay, so basically, I mean, the way the labbing started was um, when I started being introduced into the crump movement and like the way labbing is in crump.
Mm-hmm.
The lab is just it's a mentality that you have to put yourself in which you are experimenting and you are playing with ideas, and anything that comes to mind you could bring it to life with your body and your movement. And then just from the thought of one idea you could create many, and then you just go into this thing that we call a roller coaster, where it's just like nonstop, like creativity and creation.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever you create in the lab, you have to train. So there's a difference between the lab and training.
Mm-hmm.
When the lab is where I'm being creative, where I'm being playful, um, where I'm being experimental with my movement, and I'm not really worried about technique or precision or speed. Is just where I'm just like thinking. It's in my creative mode. It's where I'm free. I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
not worry about, am I doing this fast enough? Am I moving sharp enough? This is just the first draft. And then whatever you create there, you have to train. So training is different because training, okay, when you train something, you have to do it many repetitions. You have to do it certain speed. You have to do it with technique, and uh, you have to do it in under a certain time. So that's how I separate my labbing with my training. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is for me. And you know, for many years, my friends, we would just literally come off work, we just play some music, we would just start labbing and just be on our own zone, like just we're each in our own little world. And then we would lab for an hour, and then all right, whatever we created in the lab, now it's time to put it to the test in the session. we play music, and we're just going back to back. Whatever we created in the lab, now you're trying to bring it to the session, and you're trying to create with those ideas in the session.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much what the lab mentality is for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was about to ask, what is the proportion to you that worked for you between labbing and training? So is there more training than labbing? Is it the other way around? So what's the proportion to you that works the best?
Well, I feel like the labbing is more. I feel like the labbing is more like 70%, and training is more like 30% now, because I feel like if you get to a certain level of like experience where you have a lot of your techniques down already, you don't have to train as much, because your body, your muscle memory, our bodies have a thing called muscle memory, and your coordination, you already have that in your body. So you won't need to train as much or as many hours or as many times, and you're able to spend more time in the lab and just creating and coming up with things, and then you're able to add it. So I feel like in my right now, at my stage of my dance, like right now, especially right now, I feel like the lab is more important, where I'm creating things or coming up with concepts and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
That's more important for me, and doing that more works more for me right now than the training, because the training could come in many. You you could spend more hours in the lab and less time in training, if that makes sense. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, you could spend a whole hour, just being lost in your head, just coming up with ideas, and then you could train for 10 minutes, like really intense 10 minutes of repetition, rest for a minute, like another minute of just repeating, and you'd be done. But yeah, I feel like it depends on your experience level and where you're at with
Yeah.
like the stuff that you're creating. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely feel like the lab is the further you go into your career or your years, the lab is more important than the training. But I mean, if you're really starting and you need to master like your balancing your both feet and coordination and all that, then training is gonna play a big part, because if you don't
Yeah.
have the muscle memory, you're not gonna be able to pull off what you came up with in the lab. So it definitely depends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree on that. That the more time you're into the shuffling, the more you will like the less you need like repetition training for some basic things. Like I always think that you need to do training anyways, because if not, it's muscle memory. But as always, if you don't train it or you don't dance that much, you lose it. So you also need to be willing to do these trainings too, So even though, for example, I'm 7 years into shuffling, I keep doing running man trainings, T-step trainings, because it's really good, because if not, you just get lost on the creative things, but then you forget about being grounded and
Yeah, I agree. I
having this.
always have to remind myself of that too. There's times where I'm just like, all right, today I'm just gonna work on T-stepping, and I'm just gonna T-step as many variations as I can. So yeah, that's really important, that you know yourself and you're honest with yourself as a dancer, and whatever you're needing at the moment or that you notice that you're missing, you have to be really honest with yourself and tell yourself, all right, like I gotta work on this. It's really important.
Hmm. Yeah, and what's one of the craziest things that you've came out from the lab? What would you
One of the
say?
crazy
See, just one day that you ended up uh, coming up with something that you said, "Wow, man, this is crazy." Like, what's the most crazy thing?
Yeah, I've had like many sessions with Taco and Gilly, and there's we call it the roller coaster. So when any of us are on the session, and like we just keep going, and we're just like stacking ideas on top of each other, and it's just making the round crazy. We're just like, oh, he's on the roller coaster. He's like he can't get off. He's in the zone right now. Yeah, there's one time. I remember I was dancing to I think it was a Daft Punk. It was a song from one of the Daft Punk live. It was one of the live songs in one of their live shows. It It's called "The Prime Time of Your Life."
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of the song. Yeah, that if you listen to the song and like all the different like stages of the song and like how uplifting it is and like so epic, that day I was just, man, I was just like coming up with some crazy stuff. Like I took off my hat, my shoe, my sweater. I was like doing concepts with like everything, and I danced for like the whole song. It was like a 2 minute song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like one of the craziest memories I could ever remember.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always when I'm like with your friends, because one thing that you got to know about the lab is like, you could lab by yourself, but the key to the lab is you got to do it with friends, because imagine you have three brains together and you each have an idea. So then if you multiply that one idea, now you have three different brains on one idea. So then if you each come up with three different ways to do that same idea, you could just it's just like you could just create so much. So the lab
Mm-hmm.
is always better when you're with friends,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what it is. Like if I do a move or I have a concept, then you have a different idea of that same concept, and now what I did is helping you create something. So when you're with a group of friends and you all have that same level of lab mentality, is like the craziest thing ever. It's like the most fun and the most enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
times you'll have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always find that, when in these moments where you don't worry about anything else, like you're very in the music, in the zone with more people around, and in this place where you feel like is the best place for being creative. Like I this place is where I did my best rounds, I think, uh, ever, because it's like this moment where is everything aligned to come up with new things, to be creative. And I always that's why I always say that for knowing the level of the people, you don't need to trust just the videos. The videos are a good indicator in some way, but until you go session to do a session with the people, and you're in a circle, everybody's in the zone, and these people start to come out and do their thing, and what do they feel. This is when you start seeing how do people really dance. If not, it's just like, to me, like I can never have the same vibe or recording a video than doing lab, for example, or being in a studio session and doing
Yep.
practice. So to me, that's really important to know, uh, and that also encourages you to travel more and visit more people, and get to meet people in person and dance with them, because this way is where you will find how good these people are dancing.
Yeah, I agree. Like if I could choose like my perfect lab, like I would lab with my friends, my Taco and Gilly. Like
Hmm.
if I could, I wish like I could bring people and all like laugh together. Like we just it's crazy. Like I've had some of the best times of my life, like just like laughing with my friends.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's really cool. Like if you're able to find uh friends and you get in that lab mentality, and then it's just because it becomes the most addicting. Like I'm addicted to the lab. I don't even care about the money, or like I became addicted to that feeling, like just being in the lab and creating and coming up like with crazy things. And when you're able to see what you created on camera, or just like someone else seeing it, and it's just like, bro, like that's crazy, like you came up with that. It's like I just became addicted to that vibe and that feeling. And that's yeah, that's my favorite thing of the
Hmm.
dance nowadays. Like is my favorite thing more than like going to film a video or whatever. Like there's times where we have gone to film a video and we're like, all right, let's warm up, let's play some music. and we end up laughing. We don't even record a video because it's like forgot about the camera and we're just like in the zone. So yeah, that's my
Mhm.
favorite thing.
I I experienced that the best way to capture these lab rounds is that someone is shooting the video, but you're not paying attention to the video. So these people is like they're observing you, and they are also recording, but you don't feel like you're being recorded. Or if you pay attention to the camera and you watch the camera, maybe like it if it fits, like if it doesn't get out of your zone, it can work. But many people think that just paying attention to the camera and these things is being in the zone, but most of the times it's not, because you're focused on the camera and not on the actual dancing, on the music. And to me, it like you need to really let everything, like everything off, just dance, just you and the music. So this way to me is the most the best way to experience like these uh, high creativity moments. If there's something that distracts you or takes a little bit of your attention, to me it's taking part of the creative energy, that instead of putting it into creative, you put it into, okay, let's look at the camera, or the camera is there, think that you need to face here. So that's why to me I like recording videos, but I also don't like it in some way, because you know I know I need to make the content, like for showcasing, like doing a round and this thing. But I would love to just can have someone to record while I lab, and my videos
Yeah.
would be most of them like this. Yeah, I would go to film something in specific, maybe to some cool spot or whatever. But to me, this is the best videos I like, and I see like the best rounds in these moments.
Yeah, for me and like for the people out here in general, like one of the closest thing we have to that feeling is like when we go to a really cool festival or like a really cool show where like one of our like our favorite techno DJs are playing. That we also get like a really big similar feeling because like in a big circle, like there's no cameras. If it's dark, the music is loud, so it's just like all that energy, it just like brings out a whole different side of you as a dancer. Because when you're at a festival or at an event like in a dark place, people are not really gonna look at like the technique or like the fancy like details.
Hmm.
So the way you dance even changes. You dance with like bigger movements, and you have bigger movements, and people are able to feel like that energy, and it's just like it's a crazy vibe. And you know, if you ever come out here, when you're able to experience that, it's like that's some of the most amazing moments over here too. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure like as just in general, like the hype from people could just take the dancer to like another level that you didn't even know you had. Just like that energy from everybody around you, then you just end up like being in the zone and just like creating something that you didn't even know like you were capable of. So
Hmm.
that's how it happens with a lot of people here. So a lot of people like level up at festivals or events because it's kind of like it turns into a lab, pretty much a
Hmm.
big lab with from people from all around the world, and it just turned into a really big lab, pretty much really big party
Hmm.
lab.
Yeah, having the loud music, it's super important, because you really feel like in any festivals you get this bass in your chest, and you're like boom, like vibrating with
Yeah,
the music. So the music makes you dance, like even you're still, and the music is making you
yeah,
move. So it's very difficult to not dance. Like when we had in Barcelona, when we had the big tournament, we were in a concert venue. We had like the arrays with the speakers. We had the subwoofers. So the music was really like you could really feel the music, and it was like this was like kind of the perfect environment for doing a tournament, because you were in a concert venue, but the dance floor was for shuffling instead, like not for just the people. So it was like you could really feel the music, and it was easier to dance than when you have like a little speaker on the street maybe, and you really need to, yeah, just follow the beat, and maybe like you don't feel it that
Yeah,
much.
it's different. Yeah, it's different.
Okay, so I had the topic of battling for one of the next. So because now I brought up the this thing about the tournament, let's talk a little bit about battles. So first off, let's talk about the battle that is going to happen this very next week in Wisconsin. You're going to do a battle showcase. You told me before, and you also are going to teach there. You'll have your workshop. So what do you think about the tournaments, the battling scene? How do you think is going to affect the shuffle movement? How do you see this in the future?
Well, I'm really excited to be part of this because this is a first ever. It's a first ever collaboration with another dance outside of shuffling. So not only is it one of the first shuffling events in person, because most of the time they're like online,
Mm-hmm.
but just the fact that we're collaborating with an event organizer that throws all style and hip hop or like popping or other dance style events. You know, that's really cool because it could open doors for people that didn't even know shuffling existed. So it's able to bring people from other dances and expose them to shuffling, and it's able to do the same thing for shufflers because not only is it going to be a shuffle battle, it's also going to be an all styles event, and there's going to be exhibitions from other dance styles. So what it's going to do is it's going to expose dancers from all dances to each other, and you know that's going to inspire people to move differently, to think differently, to interpret music differently. People are going to be able to create connections, business connections. I'm really excited. It's like because before COVID, we were planning something here in California. We were planning something like that, and it just fell off because of COVID, and pretty much we were off for like a whole year and a half or two. So yeah, I'm excited because this is the first thing back, and I feel like once people start seeing battling as something more like positive and not as much as like intimidated
Mm-hmm.
to be part of it, uh, it's gonna it's gonna inspire people to take part of it, and hopefully it keeps growing
Mm-hmm.
in the United States because I feel like everybody else has a battle scene or like events, or they're more organized with these things, and we're not. And it's kind of sad because we have a lot of great dancers and a lot of people with big influence here. So I think it's time that more people step into like the role of leadership, and we start being part of these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree in that battles, when you start seeing them with this positive impact, you notice then you need battles for progressing and for keep developing and expanding the dance. Because as we were talking before, like the crews, we're getting people into trainings, into okay, let's come up with new things, because these other ones are going to come up with new things next Saturday. So we need to have something prepared to against this. So the same happens with tournaments. Like there's people training during the year, attending to workshops, giving workshops, and if you really want to do good in tournaments, you start to you really need to start being more exigent and more committed with shuffling than just okay, yeah, I dance in my free time. So maybe instead of just dancing, maybe you can start planning trainings, finding okay, what are the good teachers worldwide that can teach me like the most advanced things that I can find, and then put these things into training. And this is like a snowball that little by little starts to grow and get big. And I said it in many podcasts, in Spain, like the impact that it had, it's crazy. Like we didn't expect this impact and this positive um, this positive behavior on the people after the battles, wanting to train more, to travel more, to go to more classes, do more trainings, interested in, in routines. And I see right now, there's people reaching out and asking about how to take shuffle uh, more professional, because at the end of the day, if you want to take shuffling as a full time, like in dancing, or not full time, but you're really training pretty much every day, or and being exigent with yourself, you need to start seeing shuffle also as a sport. We know it's a dance, but it's physical. So you need to watch how much do you rest, how much do you eat, what do you eat, do you need some extra vitamins or minerals to recover faster or recover better and prevent getting hurt. So all these things that come in the game, like when you start being more exigent with you, this is pretty cool, because there hasn't been this in shuffling ever. Like you don't see like shufflers taking their meal plan or their rest or everything like a professional sport player, So to me, it's like it's really cool having that, because you start to see people taking shuffle more seriously, doing these trainings, being very interested. And when you just focus on the competition and just on the dancing and not about personal things or drama and everything, it's just, yeah, you can battle and look angry, but after the battle, like, it's just in the battling. So outside of the battle, you're like all right with everyone, but in the battle, we're battling. So I'm gonna go get you, but outside we're friends.
Yeah, it's really cool that you're mentioning like the professional like aspect of shuffling, because in Wisconsin, a friend of mine, Sierra, she's also one of the judges. She's actually gonna have a seminar. She's gonna do a seminar talking about how to present yourself as a professional shuffler, and like the route. She's gonna speak like on her experience and like how to make a business out of it. And it's really cool because it gives people an opportunity to know that it's like, it's not just like being an influencer, or like you're either a battler or an influencer or like underground. Like you could be all these things at once.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also another big thing for that event in Wisconsin. She's going to be having a seminar. She's going to speak on her experience, and I just think it's really cool because you know even though a lot of people don't uh there's like a negative like feeling on influencers now, right? But like I spoke to you about it before, it's not much about influencers in general. It's just people have had issues with individual people that make all the other people look bad, and they think that they're all the same. But Sierra in specific, she's a great person, and she's not. She's really experienced in the dance. She's not just an influencer, or she's not just
Mm-hmm.
Instagram shuffler. Like she knows her stuff, and she's gonna be able to provide like her knowledge on the business aspect. And it's cool because we have, a person that knows about business. We know we're gonna have someone that is an OG from and knows a lot about back in the day, and then we're gonna have Lost Boy as another judge with he has a lot of knowledge too. So it's really cool that we have like all these people in one place, because it just goes to show that it's important to have uh, different images, different people, different leaders, because not everybody is gonna be influenced by someone. Like it's important to have different leaders in the movement, because we have different people that like different things, or that are attracted to different things, or just in general, the fact that we have a girl, a woman representing the dance, and that is there, that could inspire more women to get involved in the dance.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really cool that we're having all kinds of people with different backgrounds and experiences there.
Yeah, like to me, I always say that you really need to acknowledge what the person is doing. In the case of influencers, at the end of the day, an influencer is someone that influences people to do certain things or to behave in a certain way or to do something in a specific. So to me, like about professional shufflers, I always try to differentiate in what is a professional shuffler and what is an influencer. Because if you like if people if you, for example, are influencer and you teach shuffling and you have a lot of students, you are a professional shuffler because you're being paid for your dance knowledge and because how you dance or what do you know. But if you just do promotion of things and you and you dance and outside the social media, like in the social media, if it's not something dance related, to me, the people, it's kind of a marketing tool for businesses. They're not really there because they dance. It's because they have a lot of followers. So there's people that will care about the dancing, but there's other people that don't care. They just want the account because it has a lot of engagement and oh yeah, it looks cool with dancing, so let's do that. So even though you're dancing, you're not being paid for dancing. You're being paid for the numbers you have.
Yeah.
So even though you're dancing, like it looks a little bit weird, but to me, like I take it like this. So for example, if you get a call to dance for a commercial and it's just you, like your Instagram account or your TikTok account or whatever is not involved, there you're professional because they want your skills, your dancing skills, not your numbers. So I use this to differentiate professional and being an influencer. So being an influencer is also a profession, promoting things, getting landing brands to showcase their products or their services in your page. But this is not dancing. It can be a dancer, but it's not dancing like the action of promoting, even
Mm-hmm.
even if you dance on the video. So
Yeah.
this to me, like it is really important, and it helped me really much to really see who is doing like cool thing, well, not cool things, and not saying the other thing is not cool, but professional things and not professional things. Because if I get someone to pay me and I dance, I'm getting paid because they want, maybe, I don't know, a drink or some clothes be showcased on my page. But for example, it's a little bit tricky because it has like little details that can make you be more to the professional side or to the promotion slash influencer side. But I try to differentiate. Like I don't put them all together. To me, it's really important to see the difference.
Yeah, I agree. I have like the same. I have the same view when it comes to that, and like, uh, because as I was mentioning earlier, like we had opportunities like that, and that's the dilemma that we had, or and I had like with my friends. Like we started to notice how it was more like about the numbers, not really like about the dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like so passionate and like we were like so into the dance that we were kind of like like these people don't really care about us as dancers. And I remember around that time, 2015, 2016, like we found out about how like a lot of people were using like bots and like services to like grow their Instagram accounts. So that's when we noticed like what like it's kind of like cheating, like you're growing your page and then you're gonna tell people that it's all your hard work or whatever, but it's like around that time a lot of people were using bots and all that stuff. So that's when we kind of felt discouraged because we realized like people don't really care about like your skills as a dancer. It's like more people care about like the numbers. So your dancing could be bad, but it's like you have the numbers. But yeah, like when I see other what I consider professional as well is like, for example, like when dancers end up dancing for like professional singers or dancers like Rihanna or Beyonce. Like Beyonce has had some crumpers like dance
Mm-hmm.
for her, and it's like that's being a professional dancer. Like you're hired by Beyonce to like
Mm-hmm.
perform for a song.
Yeah, because your dancing skills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree. Like um, I look forward to like at one point, you know, shuffling being recognized like as more of a dance skill than a marketing tool because
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It's like it became a thing where it's like, okay, well, it's a trendy thing right now, so a lot of people are growing like big pages off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like do people really consider it as dancing?
Mm-hmm.
So
I
I
think
feel like
we just need more events, more things that make the dance look more professional.
yeah, exactly. So that's why, um, for example, with the Wisconsin event, it's gonna expose a dance. We're gonna be dancing in front of like all style dancers and like other people, and it's always good to hear feedback from them as dancers. Like, how does this look to you? Like, so yeah, I feel like stuff like that is gonna help like push the dance forward, and I'm pretty excited.
Mm-hmm. I remember in 2018, I think it was, we were having a battle in a different city from Barcelona, in Spain, in Valencia, and we had the judges, like there was three lines. There was electro, there was shuffle, and there was all styles. And the judges, like there was just one judge per category, but the other judges were seat too. But the one of the category was the one voting. So I remember in the all styles there was Inox, who is an all style a waving dancer, and he's really 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 good. It's like top worldwide waving dancer, and he was singing shuffle, and he was like after the tournament, he was telling us, yeah, like I see you're really passionate about this. When you see battles, you see that the culture and the dance is really young, so you have a long road to walk, and like, but he was seeing like the beauty, and he was wanting to understand what we were doing, and he was saying that yeah, we were shuffling in dance terms. We were lacking a lot of things, but he was like really encouraging us to keep doing events, to keep doing these things, and he was giving us some feedback. And I was like, whoa, man, a really top dancer of a style worldwide is telling us like that we need to keep doing these things. And he's had a lot of experience. He was talking us to about how was the his community when it was kind of like shuffling, and how was at the beginnings. So we really were feeling that this was the way to get better and get known and raise the professional level of our style. So talking with these people, if they're very experienced and you can have a moment to talk with them, it's always worth it, because these people can just say you one thing that will make some spark, and you will start saying, wow, okay, now I understand a lot of things, or I see this, that what he's saying, that we really need to work on this. So that's a great thing, like having all styles dancers in this event and giving you feedback. This will be great.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I also agree. Like I'm looking forward to it. Um, but yeah, like I've had some people from like other styles like see the dance, and I also like hear their feedback. I remember one of my friends. He's an all style dancer, and he was like also trying to understand like the dance because like this was back like in like 2012. Like to him, like it all kind of looks the same. It looked the same. So that's when I knew like okay, like this has to kind of change in order to even be competitive because how can you compete when all you have is kind of like people dancing the same. I feel like there was a time where everybody was kind of like moving the same or like the same sequence.
Mhm.
So yeah, like it's really cool that we're able to like hear from like other styles of dance and like people that could like give us insight not just about like the dancing but like how to like grow the movement because all the dances had like different stages where like it wasn't even considered a dance like hip hop. I mean break dancing, it's now in the Olympics. So like imagine like how long like they had to go as a dance to like now they're at the Olympics, like it's considered an Olympic sport. So
Yeah.
yeah, like we're still really young in the dance.
Hmm. I don't know much about breaking. I also think that it's it's a little bit difficult to the matter of treating a dance style like a sport, because what do you taking into account, like how many times do they flare, are you valuing the creative aspect? I don't know, like I have no information, I haven't researched it, and I also don't know much about I know basic things, but it's really interesting to that a dance style gets to this, because this is something huge.
Crazy.
Hmm.
Yep.
Okay, let's jump to the next topic, which is the shuffle community. So, um, how do you see the community nowadays compared to how was when you started? Are you liking how's the community right now? Are you liking where it's heading? What do you think?
um I think like when I was like coming into the dance, the community was like not very friendly
Hmm.
because we're younger and like we're mature. We had more rivalry and like pride for the dance. um but I feel like right now, I feel like there's a lot of small groups and there's not much like there needs to be more unity between like all the different factions that there is right now in the
Hmm.
United States in specific. uh but I think it comes down to like the people themselves because I think like what happens is way too many people are trying to like make a personal gain out of the dance.
Hmm.
And when people see that, like people are not gonna want to be part of like your projects because people realize like it's you're trying to just make it about you.
Hmm.
It's not about the community of the dance. So
Hmm.
if people see that and they just genuinely don't feel like you're you care about the culture of the community, they're not gonna want to be part of like your movement or your project or whatever. So I feel like there's a lot of that right now. There's like a lot of lack of trust from like things that people have done in the past or like things that people have heard about what people are doing. Because yeah, there's a lot of people trying to like do a lot of like great things, but you're not always gonna have everybody be part of your project because some people just don't trust you or maybe some
Hmm.
people don't even know you. So I just feel like more people need to trust each other and like take a chance to work in each other's projects for that to happen. But
Hmm.
yeah, like feel like there's just been so many things in the past, and so many people want to make like a business, or so many people just want different things out of the dance. So that's what creates a lot of like separation between
Hmm.
different people, friends, different community leaders, different projects that people have going on right now.
Hmm.
So I mean, like me personally, like if I really feel like what someone is doing is for the community, and like if I identify with it, like if I feel it, like I'm gonna want to be part of it. You can't really force people to join every single project. Of course, we could like encourage everybody to support it, but it's like some people just really don't. They just don't feel it from like their heart. They just don't. Well, I feel like the right now there's definitely like a lot of separation. I feel like when it comes to like festivals and events, I feel like everybody kind of shares a dance floor together, but then everybody goes back home and like behind the screen on their phone, people kind of are separated, and people don't really support each other's
So,
project
so you
or
think
content.
there's a lack of events that bring more people together?
Yeah, I just feel like there needs to be more events that is about the dance itself and the culture, because we have a lot of things going on here, but it's not celebrating the dance, or it's not focused on the dance. There's a lot of people that they start throwing like club events out of the dance, and it's just like, okay, now you just want to make money. Or I feel like that's the mentality that people have. Like, if you become a community leader, and then at the end of the day, you kind of just want to profit and benefit off the dance, then people are gonna be like, no, like you kind of just want to take like credit and like profit off the dance. But it's like, start creating more things, like for example, like exhibitions, battles, tournaments, where it's like, okay, we're focusing on growing the dance, and like being able to pay people for the dance, being able to encourage people for the dancing, creating more like workshop opportunities. Or for example, like what Boombox is doing now with he's hosting labs, he's renting a, he's hosting like free labs. We start doing more things like that. Sooner or later, more people are gonna want to collaborate. But the problem here is like, there's just so many like egos, and if people think that you're gonna take all the credit for creating something, they don't want to see that. Like, there's a lot of envy, and there's a lot of like jealousy. Like, no, I don't want that person to be the person that creates that. So yeah, I've been seeing that for many generations here. Like, so many people have like backstabbed each other, or like done each other dirty from projects and stuff like that. So it just creates a lot of like lack of trust. So we're kind of missing like leadership and like more events. So I feel like this event in Wisconsin, hopefully we could bring that to like California or like other states, and just like keep it growing. And yeah, I feel like hopefully that's how I'll start being more focused around the dance itself, like just dancing. I feel like we need to make that the focus in order for more people to want that, to be able to support that.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult when in the to the point when people wants to make money out of shuffling, because there's some people that is going to do that by events that help the community, and there's people that won't care that much about the movement, and they just care about the money they raise in or they make in this event. This always has been a really important topic to me, and something to have always in mind, because if you want to become a professional shuffler and make money out of shuffling, you really need to focus on the money. Like, you can't say money is not important, because it is. If you really want to be a shuffle professional, you really want to focus on the money too, because if not, you won't live. Like, you won't be able to pay the bills. So what's the point of trying to be a shuffle professional if you don't focus on the money? So to me, it always has been important, very important, to, okay, how can I do money in shuffling, and respecting the dance and making it grow. So, like, people, when
Right.
when they pay for something, the movement, like, they don't pay so I can get more money. They pay so they first off get an incredible experience about the event and about this thing. So, and this event overall is bringing a lot of people together, making the movement grow. and people there, they feel like they're in a shuffle environment, even though they had to pay to go inside, because sometimes people think that shuffle should be all for free and all for love. That's great. I think that a lot of things in shuffle are needed free, so you can get more people involved. Like, how can you make pay someone who wants to try shuffle? Maybe they see it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Maybe I don't like it, so I don't want to put, I don't know, X dollars and into waste. So it's really important to find that balance between make it profitable and are you really contributing to the movement and to the shuffling. Is people getting a good experience about it? Like, how do people see your event? Do they see it as you? Because at the end of the day, people notices that because what you say, because people make the event about them and not about the dance. So when you do, for example, if I organize um, one workshop, the important thing, okay, it's important that I'm doing the workshop. Like, it's very important if I'm doing the workshop, but what should be like the biggest title should be shuffle, you know, like this is something about shuffling, and then the teacher. But the most important thing is shuffling. So if not, you're attracting more people interested in you instead of shuffling. So to me, like, it's really important. It's super tricky too, because
Yeah.
you can make little money, but when you want to scale this and make a lot and make more money and maybe make a lot of money because you're hosting really huge events or huge workshops, because this is possible in shuffle too. It's happening in other styles, so why not in shuffling? But how do we do that? Respecting what shuffling is, because I've saw a lot of other dance styles and workshops and people complaining that, yeah, they make a lot of money here, but they are not respecting the this dance culture, or they just look for the money. So I try to learn, and I listen to these people. So why do they think that? And I try to not do the same mistakes or approach it the same way.
Hmm.
I agree that it's really important to make the things about the dance, and the most important thing needs to be always the dance. If you focus, like to me, if you focus on growing the dance, everyone who is interested in growing the dance will go. So long term, if you focus on this, everybody interested in this will come to this event and pay in this event or pay in this workshop. So the money will come if you do things right, and most of the people want the shuffle to do good. These people will end up going to this event and to other events. There will be more events. So to me, money, it comes following the good treatment of the culture, you know. So that's
Yeah,
my
that's
that's
that.
my philosophy.
Yeah, that's mine too. Like that's why, like I've never been in a rush. Like I've never felt like, oh, I need like I'm falling behind, or I need to grow my page, or I need to do this. Like I've never felt that because I know that like at the end of the day, it ends up being about the dance. Like so that's the only thing I've ever focused on, like the dancing itself, like live, just practicing dancing, like just the dance, because the dance is what keeps me like motivated and inspired. Without the dance, it would just be like a business or money. So that's why I've never tried to give it that importance. If I want to make money, I have my career, I have my degree, like I have other ways to make money. Like if I could make money living out of shuffling, that would be awesome. But I've never fully given it like that importance because, it's, like you said, it's really tricky. It's super tricky to make it like your first choice, and it's super tricky, and it's really easy to like get unmotivated or uninspired if you make a mistake or if you make it all about the money. So I've never really wanted to like gamble with that, so I always
Hmm.
kept dance like as what it is for me. And like I don't have a rush. Like I'm patient. Like if I never make a lot of money out of it, that's fine. If I make money out of it, that's fine too. But I've never felt in a rush to like do what other people are doing, or like all these other like marketing things that are going on. Like I've never felt like, okay, I'm falling behind. And I've never felt that because I, like you were saying, like at the end of the day, like people are gonna follow like the dancing, and if that's where the money goes, then it's gonna be about the dancing in the long run. Yes, of course, it's important to you know market yourself, have a page, all these things, but at the end of the day, like you said, like people are gonna follow the dancing, and in the long run,
Hmm.
it's what's gonna succeed.
Yeah. And to me, destroying the, oh, I don't know how to talk, sorry. The interesting part is to build all this marketing, all this infrastructure around something that is providing this to the dance. So it's like you really need to learn a lot of skills and things, and then take it to the shuffling and sit in front of shuffling and say, okay, man, how do we do this? Like, how can I use all these things that are going to help market the movement, market events, get more people interested, start making money, so I can invest more time in the projects and make it better for the community, respecting you, respecting shuffling. So it's been a long time, and my head has thought a lot of things, a lot of different things, and
Yeah.
sometimes I made mistakes. I learned from them. I think some things I could have done different. Some things I've done it pretty much good at first try, but all it takes is to try it. Like there's not an impossible way of growing pages to hundreds of thousands of followers and being respectful with the dance. What makes it respectful at the end of the day is the person behind. So whatever this person is working on, is will make the page or the account or the website or the events more beneficial for the shuffling or not beneficial. So to me, it's a lot of thinking, a lot of figuring things out, but it's possible. Like I see the way, and I believed there was always the way. It just you need to find out, and start walking, and during your travel you will find the conclusions, and you will see what is better working in this towards this goal and what is not.
Yeah, that's why like I've had like opportunities to be part of like projects like this one, but I don't know, like I just something told me that I need to go and I need to be part of this. Like you said, like you just gotta sometimes just do the things, and like you're gonna find the answers like to whatever you have once you like sometimes you don't believe it until you see it, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I agree. Like, I just have a good feeling about where things are going right now.
Mhm. Yeah, in our case, it's very difficult because there's no reference about someone to follow. Like there's no one who has been doing things great for the last years, and you just, okay, oh, I could do this in my country because this person is not in my country. So we're like, okay, we don't know what to do, so we need to come up with things, ideas, try them, get the feedback,
Just
improve them. So it takes a lot of courage to be like in this point, in this moment of the shuffling, and be willing to do all these things, because it's the most difficult stage. This one, like the people succeeding in this way, doing things professional, respecting the dance, making it grow. This I think these people is the one that will end up making a lot of money, but people will be okay because they were saying, and when these people make a lot of money, their main priority is making the dance grow. So all this money is coming back to this, is going to be invested in doing bigger events and bigger things. So to me, that's why I'm not worried if someone tells me, oh, maybe you're making like I'm not making a lot of money right now. I'm started making good money, like it's okay. But all I want the money. Like I have my some goals and some things that I need to invest the money in, and everything is shuffle related. Like there's not anything like, okay, I want this clothes, or I want this kind of things. Like I don't care about this right now. I will care about these things later. Like what is important to me right now is make this everything grow, so I can keep investing everything in the movement, in doing better projects and doing everything and contributing. And I said that in other podcasts too. If you're inside the movement and you make the movement grow, you will grow with the movement. Like you don't need to solely focus on yourself. Like you can focus on everyone, and everyone will want you in because you invest in them. So to me, the nonsense is to invest just in yourself. Like making just grow yourself. Like you need to grow yourself, but in the personal way. Like focus on the personal, and then when you do things, you need to contribute to everyone. So it's really a mindset. It's really a mindset, all these things.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's something I've been working on like lately, because I spent like so many years just like focusing on like myself and just like my friends and like our own like circle of friendships. And it's like, okay, like now, like I have a big influence on people. I've created like this level in the dance. Now it's like we need to get more involved with like the next generation of dancers and like the community, because we spend like way too much time like just like being like away from all that. And it's like we have like if we don't do it, then who will? Like, you know, someone has to do it. So like
Mm-hmm.
at one point, you know, we have to like take initiative and, you know, be like you said, like contribute um to the people, because it's gonna come back. So it's like you have to be honest with yourself, like, no, I think I'm great at dancing, but I'm not good at marketing, or I'm not a good community leader. And it's like we could learn from other people, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm always open to learning from other people that are doing these things, because I know that's something that like I need to get better at.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The time will speak for itself. People who wants to contribute and make the movement grow. You can see them act right now, and with the time you will see them even more. And people who just care about themselves, you will see them too. You can see them nowadays too, some of them. But like I really don't care about the other people. If there's people that go towards the same direction, I like to work with them. I like to exchange with them. But when I see some people being so individual and just care about themselves, just every time I have like less interest in them. It's like, yeah, like do whatever you want. Like the shuffle community will do its game, do yours, and it's okay.
Yeah, you could just feel it. I mean, people like they could like see it, like they feel it in the things you do and what you say. Like, you know, a lot of people, they could get on camera and like pretend like, hey, you know, they could pretend to be like this and that, but it's like, you know, you're only gonna fool so many people with that. Like, people really know, like, you know, what your intentions are. And like if you're selfish, or if you just care about yourself, like, you know, people that are smart enough are gonna be able to see that, and they're just not gonna want to work with you or like be part of like anything that you're doing. And it's like that's also reason like why there's, you know, a lot of people I just choose not to like work with or like collaborate with, because I've experienced, like, I have so much experience, and I've been around so many people, and I've been like backstabbed by so many people. I've been in so many projects where it's like, you know, you end up like losing you. It's hard to respect people like that. So it's like, you know, it gets hard to find like people that are really like trying to push the dance forward. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
the crazy thing is now, like, there's new people that are new to the dance, and they're the ones that are like the most excited and pushing the dance forward, when it should be like people that are OGs. They're the ones that we should be like pushing the dance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy to see that, like people that are new to dance are the ones like more the most excited and like the most. So it's like, we also have to trust like people like that and like support them, because it's like, we should be the ones setting the example, and they're like setting the example for us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
there are some people like really new that are doing a lot, like more than all the OGs have done during all their shuffle journey. So
Yeah.
it's really curious to see that. But it's about people, people who really feels it and thinks that this is the way, and they encourage themselves and go out and just do it. So that's all what it takes. Just go out and try it and do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. This is the last topic before the two questions that I always have at the end of the podcast. So let's talk about something which is a little bit more, how to say it, like I don't know the word in English right now, but let's talk about something which is a little more, oh man, I don't know the English word, I'm sorry.
In
like I
Spanish,
like like I know it, but it doesn't come to me right now. So, how is it? Like now, I really want to know this word. Mm, okay, no, it's not the word that I wanted to say. But let's talk about something that has been a little bit in conflict in the social media these last weeks, and is about the group Shufflelution went to AGT, and they had the presentation part, and I saw this presentation made a lot of people go angry or say, "What are you saying?" And the thing is that, the presentation, for the people who don't know this, it was they were asking, "What is shuffling?" And the answer was like, "Shuffling is a trend born in the electronic music dance festivals," and this specific phrase got a lot of people very molest and very, what is happening and what did you say this. So before jumping into what you have to say, they also said that there was a cut, that then they corrected themselves in some way. But to me, it's important that when you go to these stages, you really need to know your speech. You really need to acknowledge what are you saying to me, and I not to me to everyone. Sorry. So, what do you think about this? Like, how did you take this? Because I understand that uh, it pissed some people off. It didn't piss other people. So, how did you take that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of. I mean, it's not the first time that some of these people in that video have been involved in like controversial things that have bothered like the shuffling community. So it wasn't new to me, because it's not the first time. Like, they've done that before. I did hear that from people that it was, some people say that it was a mistake, or it was cut off, or that the person was nervous. But at the end of the day, for me, I just think that, you know, you should be accountable. You should be responsible for, if you're representing like something so big as a dance like this, if you did make a mistake, you should like be accountable and like, speak to the dance community in general and like apologize for this. And I just feel like the reason why people are upset is because it's not the first time that something similar like this happens. And, you know, uh, some of these people have never apologized, or they have never given any response back to the community where they show that they are like that they admit that they're saying the wrong things or teaching the wrong things. So like the Shufflelution, it was like the ultimate display of this. So this is what made people like blow up, because there's been so many things that have happened, and then this is just like the what spilled the water from the cup. So I mean, like I wasn't super crazy like angry about it, because I've been angry about many things before, but I know that that doesn't really change anything. So I just feel like, those people know exactly what they have to do to make things right. And I don't know why they have not done it. It's really easy to keep the shuffle community happy. All you need to do is respect the dance and say the right things and the right terms, the right history, and like, you know, it just happens really often with these certain people, and that's why people keep getting upset. But it's super easy to keep like super easy to represent a dance. If you're so passionate about a dance and if you're making that much money out of a dance, you should always know how to say the right things. But I mean, I don't know if it was really a mistake. I don't know if it was really a cut. That's what they're saying. That's what people are saying. I do have a really close friend that is friends with all those people, and he did ask me. He's like, "Hey, like, what do you think is the right thing that they could do or that they should do, or how can they, apologize?" And I told him like, what I think is the best thing to do, or like I give him suggestions on things that they could do as people and as dancers representing the dance, to be able to for people to have more respect for them, because I feel like a lot of people don't have respect for them for certain things. It's not just people that are hating or just don't like them. People have like real reasons why they don't respect them, and this incident is one of them. So they should know what to do, and like you can't really make people like someone they don't like.
Yeah.
Me, it was really like the whole what was said, and it's just like it's really tricky, because it's like it's on live TV, and like it's hard to fix that. And I don't know, it's kind of sad, because it reminded me of like the LMFAO uh thing, because I felt like after that many people felt embarrassed, because they kind of display the dance as like more like a joke or like something funny or silly. So after the LMFAO, I feel like a lot of people lost motivation to dance, because it kind of felt like people made fun of them. And I'm not saying that the Shufflelution, the same thing is going to happen with them, but I kind of feel like some people feel like it's going to have the same effect. And I feel like that's why people were kind of like angry, because it reminded them of
Yeah,
LMFAO.
yeah, it was like kind of relieving a situation, that
Yeah, so I
situation.
feel like people, that's what, like, it was like if people were traumatized, like people were kind of feeling like, wait, like again, like we have worked so many years to build something up, and then people that are on stage on TV and that are saying that they're evolving and taking the dance to professional or next level. If you're saying things like that and you're not showing it with your skill, your dancing, it just makes it hard for people to respect you. But like, I know it takes a lot of hard work to be on there, dedication. No one could ever take that away from them. Like, I respect that. But, there's just a lot of other things that people are upset about.
Yeah, when I started to sing this, it was really important to me to start speaking with a lot of people around the world, the community. I've traveled a lot. I've met a lot of community there, so I lot many people, and it was very important to me to ask them what was their opinion. Like I wasn't just asking, okay, I think this. What do you think? So they feel like biased or like compromised to say something. Like I was just I wanted to understand what was the community thinking. It doesn't matter where do they live, how many years are they into the dance. I just wanted to know what's the community thoughts. And you know, I read all the comments in the Instagram, in YouTube. When I saw a really positive comment, I was going inside and see who it was. When I was seeing a really negative comment, I was in the profile and see who it was, because I really wanted to understand what was happening. Because to me, I don't live in the US, You said there's been more episodes. I don't know about this episode, so it's all really new to me. I also don't like drama, so like I don't bring this topic to talk about drama or talk bad about anyone. It's just
No, I
you
agree. It's
know
like it's meant to
just
hear.
discussion and talking about the things that happen in the community. So to me, as I said before, when you go on stage, it's very important to know your speech. And if you really want to say something like this, then it's like you need to understand that people is going to get angry because you said something which is not true. But if in some way uh, you said something wrong, and even though you're corrected yourself, I think that in this in these situations you have to be the very exigent and don't let any word, any wrong word go out of your mouth. Like if you really say something, you really need to believe in that. So like I take myself as an example for example, because some months ago I also went on the TV, and I was like very lucky that I was given the mic because we ended the our performance and I was in the middle, and they gave me the mic. But if they give me the mic, I would say give me the mic, because I don't want anything wrong about shuffling being said. Like I was the one who had to talk because I really wanted to. If I get what is shuffling, it was like super important for our group to say, it's a rave dance, and now you can see it, and you can see it on festivals, you can see it on studios, there's more events, there's more things. But it's very important to acknowledge that shuffling is from rave, even though it's not from rave, right? Like you won't find it just in the raves. So you can say it's from the raves without the negative connotation. So it's not just an underground rave scene. It was born in the rave scene back in the 80s and 90s. But there's from a lot of years ago, you don't find shuffling just in the raves. You find it in EDM festivals, as they said. You can find it in meetups, in the streets. You can find it in studios. You can find it in tournaments.
Yeah,
You can find
that's
it in the social media too. So it's not something that is born as a trend. It's something that is trendy, but it's not born a trend. So I think that to make people to present shuffle as a trend, even though it's a trend, if you present it as a trend, what people think about the trends is something that has born like really recently and will die
yeah, exactly.
very soon. So that's why I didn't like this part in specific. Like about the dance, there's people can like it, there's people cannot. Getting everyone together with making, in coordination, they were pretty good. They were pretty good. I won't judge things that I don't understand and I'm not expert, such as stage formation, because I don't have any idea of that. So I can be critical about these things. But I know it was a performance with a lot of easy steps, so people can also understand what it's doing. I understand that people want to the shuffle being showcased at a higher level, but in some way you can't put two complex dance moves into an America's Got Talent show, because many people won't understand. You can do it, like you can have some details, so you can have like this. The shufflers can appreciate it, but I know that most of the part of the show has to be very easy to understand for the audience, because if not, they will say, "I don't understand anything." So, like, what is this? I'm not getting anything. So, I say that because to us, we had to approach it like this. How can we take shuffling in a way that anyone sees it and they like it, and they see how it is? So
Yeah,
it was a different act, but anyways, it's very difficult to make it to that point, as you said. and you can be nervous, but you really need to care what you say on stage. And shuffling, I think, is more related about what you said about, we also had some situations of the shuffle being bad taken, and it's just, yo, you're doing the LMFAO thing, or oh, you're doing when it was on the Instagram boom, it was trendy too. So there's been a lot of stages and misinformation on shuffling, and having another one, I understand that it makes some people get pissed off and say, again, man, we didn't have enough, like something that is being talked wrong about shuffling. I believe that what they said in this phrase is wrong. I don't see the overall act and group wrong, because it's just people trying to make the shuffle professional. And as we said, if you go into something, you won't do it everything 100% right at first, so you will need to improve in some way or in another. So, like, it's okay, as long as the intentions are good, I don't see a problem at all. Just some people hating a lot. I always say, haters gonna hate no matter what they do. If they don't like them, they're gonna hate, they're going to post negative comments. You don't need to really pay attention to these people because they always say bad things. And to me, what is really important is to listen to the community. Like, the community is the one that is going to be there always. Like, no matter the stage of the dance, the community will always be there. Maybe the audience or the people will stop liking shuffle, or will be there just for some months, or it's important to have people from outside the community liking the dance. But to me, the number one priority is the community, because this is the people that is going to be your companion in your shuffle journey. So that's why I wanted to ask the community. And I can agree that most of the people I talk to, and this is people that didn't know the group, this is people who don't know anything about certain persons, they don't have like hate for anyone, they just are in shuffling, and they don't even say their opinion on social media. But I was talking with a lot of people, and I was getting like yeah, man, it's like another thing being called wrong about shuffling. Like, yeah, so let's keep doing our thing, and just don't pay much attention to this. So
Yeah, that's what it is to me nowadays. Like I've like seen the same like reaction from like the same people many times, and like I just don't. It's hard for me to like. Yeah, like I appreciate, like I'm able to respect like the hard work and like dedication like it takes to like do all that, but just like based on like my previous experiences and what I've seen, it's just like I can't. Like, I just don't support like just certain people. Like I could respect the dedication, everything behind it, but it's just like they have shown, like their actions have shown to me like the level of like care or respect they have for like the dance. So it's like I could only respect it to like a certain point, not to the point where I'm just gonna go around saying like, oh, like hating, like extremely hating on the dance. But it's just like it's hard for me to support it. You get me? So I'm not gonna go hate on it, but I can't support it because you have shown like things in the past that some of these people have done. Like I lost the respect because of actions that they've done. But yeah, like I agree. Like at the end of the day, just like overall, like just the overall aspect of it is like, we could only pay like a few like little attention to it, but at the end of the day, like we have to keep like moving forward with like our own like projects and like our own like personal goals of shuffling. That way, we don't have to focus on like calling out what's being done wrong, and instead like doing it right how we want it to be done right.
yeah,
So
yeah, to
I
me,
agree.
people who speak and they don't do, like, I don't care about their opinion. It's like, I will listen to you if you're trying to do something to make it right from your perspective, because it's it's everything perspective, you know. For some people this will be right, for some people this will be wrong, and for other people this will be like they don't care. So if you criticize something but you're not actually taking action to try to do it right to your opinion, why are you complaining? It's like, it doesn't make sense to me. I find that people who don't complain is the ones doing the work, because they say complaining, like, it's a waste of time and energy, and it just adds negativity. So maybe work on something to make it better. Maybe, you know, I was interested in talking with them. I went talking with them. I saw they were going to do our workshop. They wanted to explain history. I asked them, hey, I saw you're going to explain history. Do you want any help, or do you need something that may help you with your explanations or anything? And I was talking with Kento about history to, you know, to get more things clear. And like, to me this is the important thing. Like, if you just criticize and you do nothing positive to do that, like, you're being even worse than them. If you think they're doing something bad, because you're just making people go toxic, go criticize more, being negative. And I think we can do better as a community, and these people who wants to do better is the ones who's going to change the game. So to me, even though I didn't like some things, like, overall, to me it was positive somehow. If the message was better, I've liked it even a lot more. But to me, like, it doesn't make sense to complain. Like, I knew from a long time ago they were doing this, and I saw that their performance improved so much, and it takes a lot of time and effort for a lot of people, from a lot of people. So this is something that you need to recognize and acknowledge, but try to help. Like, just criticizing doesn't help. So yeah, it's okay, it's your opinion, but keep it for yourself or for your close people. Like, you don't need to post and be ultra negative. Like, you can also, you can write them and try to understand why did they say this. Maybe they missed it. Maybe they really they really believe in this, and you say, oh, and why do you believe in this if it's this other way? So to me, it's not just a fight to be super pissed off. I know that some people had some episodes with other people. I don't know anything about it. So, but to me, I try to keep it like this. Like, sometimes it's hard, but I think it will always be worth it. You know, I had so many negative episodes with some people, and I always try to do better. Always, and it always work out. It always ends up being better. And I think we can do better, and that speaks good from the community to have this behavior.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm able to understand. Like I understand why some people choose not to support or respect it, because they have their reasons. You know, like I could understand that, and I could understand like, you know, we could do more, and like we could help more if we can. You know, like not to just like tear these people down. So yeah, I agree.
Okay, so topic done. It was very interesting talking about that, and I think it's very good insights for the ones who are listening. And let's go with the last two questions about of the podcast. The first one, I'm asking to you to share something that you have recently learned about shuffling. It can be a move, it can be a mindset, a step, some DJ you like the sound of, whatever you discovered recently in the past weeks or months that you want to share with the Shuffle podcast listeners.
What is one thing I recently learned? Well, just in general, like I personally, I have different, like, of course, like my style really depends on like the music I'm dancing to. So I have, like, for example, like music that's louder and that has a fatter kick, like techno. It just makes me dance with like a wider Running Man, and it makes me want to give the Running Man more emphasis because it just makes sense with the music.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, like things like psytrance, things that are faster, or things that have beats that are closer to each other, it just makes more sense to use more T-step because you waste less energy and you're able to allocate the steps faster and the movement is just more efficient. So I always, in my lab, I always dance to the different genres. So for example, I'll start off with something that has a lot of melody and a lot of like something smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And since it has melody and it's smooth, it makes me give emphasis more to flow, more to footwork, and more to gliding. So then when I transition into something that is harder, with more musicality, and something that is more complex and that has some more sounds to play with, then it makes me that's where it makes me focus more on like combos, tricks, kill offs, and power. And then if I transition into something like hardstyle or something like that is fast, then I think, okay, like what makes more sense here? So I'll transition into using more T step. Why? Because it wastes less energy. It lets me breathe more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I'm able to like shift between the different music. And then if I dance to something like house or something that's groovier, then it's like, okay, like this music is telling me to focus more on the groove. And everything I just said, that's like it's key when it comes to battling, because when you're battling, it's like you're showcasing the song to the highest of your ability. But every song, depending on the mood and on the melody it has, like there's specific things of shuffling that will stand out more
Mm-hmm.
to that music. So if you're able to figure that out as a dancer, then you're gonna be a really good battler,
Mm-hmm.
because different music and different songs bring out different aspects of shuffling, and if you're able to display that, then you will be able to display the dance to its fullest when you're able to understand that concept. So that's something I work on,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, it's really important to know like your weaknesses as a dancer, and you should always be able to work on those.
Mm-hmm.
And just understanding music in general, like there's always something new, or there's so many different songs and tracks, and when you focus on that, then they'll teach you something to you as a dancer. So that's something I've been like focusing on a lot, and that's something that I'm going to try to like display in my exhibition in Wisconsin. Like I'm gonna dance to like three different songs, and I'm going to try to like show how each different song like magnifies an aspect of shuffling to the fullest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, does that
that
make sense?
it makes a lot of sense. Like I know this too, and I always have during the week. I have some days where I like the mixes that start, with soft like housey moves, and they then start to go hard and they end with techno or psytrance.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do my shuffle dance radio mixes, I do them like this. Like they start house and they end with psytrance hard music. So it's kind of um every time more intense, and it changes your mood. So it's very progressive, and this helps really much to get to these stages and dance like this.
Yep.
I agree with you that that managing to dance to the different type of songs, it makes you a great battler, because it won't matter what music is playing. You will be able to come out, dance, showcase a good level, and be comfortable with it. Like you won't be complaining about, oh man, I don't like the song. You just go dancing and that's it. So it's very important to not always be with the same music genre. You really need to train on the different ones.
Hmm. Yep.
And the last question is not for you. So this time we change the turn, and you get to ask me something, whatever you want, as the final question for the podcast. So whatever you want to ask, I've been asking you during all the podcasts, so now it's your turn. Anything you want to ask, feel free.
Um, where do you see yourself in the dance in the next 2 years? Like, what's your ideal like future that you imagine yourself in the dance in 2 years? Where, like, doing what, achieving what? Where do you?
I've got this question so many times up to this point. So I see, as I said, like in 2 years, it's a very short time. So in 2 years, I just see myself doing, having, I don't know if one studio yet, because my goal, uh, the the faster I can, is to move to the US. But we talked that the other day. It's difficult because you need to get a green card, and it's a lottery, and you can get it or you can't. But to me, my goal is to be able to move to the US, and there have my shuffle studio where I host my classes, and also open studio sessions like we had in Barcelona, because this did really good. So if I someday have my studio, I want to have that too. Some day of the week that people can come, it's free to enter, just go there and shuffling, because it helped really much here. So I really want to bring that to wherever I am, I want that there. And I pretty much see myself very, very focused and on shuffling. I am right now, but I feel like I need more inputs, more professional inputs about what is really taking shuffle as a professional, because just making money, it doesn't mean fully to me that I'm being professional, because you can make money, but are you investing your really your full time into this, or are you wasting it on social media or doing things that doesn't give you anything? So to me, I see myself like really focused on shuffling. Like I work on my discipline and and to be solely focused on shuffling every single day. And I'd like to have my my in-person studio, and have also I also run online classes, because there's people from different parts of the world that want to take classes with me. So this is a very important factor too. And I also like to participate in events and organize events. So I see myself like really serious into labbing, into training to do good in the tournaments. And I also want to organize the tournaments. Wanting to participate in competitions made me really aware of what's important in the experience of participating in a tournament, and what's the things that I like and people like who go into a tournament. So I like to bring this experience to more people too. To me, this is like really important. So I would say like these things are the most important ones to me. Having a platform studio where I teach people, where I also can upload content on the YouTube, short tutorials, so people can get started and get more information and see how do I teach, so they can maybe be interested in the classes. My goal is to be full-time shuffler all the time, focusing on shuffling and make the movement grow, make the people learn, and make the people have a good time. That's pretty much my goal.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, just recently, like, just hearing more people like just say how like they want to do this full time, and it's just like it's inspiring because like I've always wanted that at one point, but it's like at one point I kind of like convinced myself like, okay, like it's probably not a smart idea, but I know like deep inside like that's really what like I would want like if I could do it. And it's like when you hear other people, it's like you could do it, but it's like you kind of convince yourself that you shouldn't, or like it's not a smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I like hearing like when other people say it, because every time it kind of like makes me believe in it a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, damn, like, you know, you just have it right there and like you can't be ignoring it forever. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, a lot of discipline, a lot of mentality, but it's what it takes. At this stage, is what it takes to be able to go out there and out of nothing create everything.
Yep.
So that's what it takes. Okay, it was great talking with you, Sky, Hector, Lefty, all the names. So it was really great having you here. I think we talked a lot of interesting things through. So thank you for coming. You will find socials from Hector in the description of the video. So anything you want to say for closing the podcast and saying goodbye, the mic is all yours. So whatever you want.
I just want to thank Marcos for, you know, having me on this podcast. What he's doing is it's really needed and it's useful, and like it gives really good insight, and a lot of people that you usually don't get to hear speak. Most of the time we just know people through like videos and content and dancing, but you don't really get to know like what goes in these people's brains. So these podcasts are like a little look into people's brains and what they're thinking, and you know what inspires them and stuff. So these are really good podcasts, and they do a lot for the community. And just in general, knowing what other people are inspired by or their ideas is just good overall. And I feel like, you know, good things are gonna happen, and they're being set in stone. And you know, thanks to Marcos and other people that are doing things like this. You know, it takes a lot of work, and you know, mad respect for him and others that are doing a lot of things. And yeah, that's it pretty much. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling inspired, and just want to encourage everybody else to, you know, go out there and do the same. Get out of the comfort zone. I feel like we're way too comfortable, and we're way too comfortable with just being dancers. And you know, being a good dancer is not going to be enough forever. You know, we got to be better leaders and role models too.
Okay, thank you for listening, everyone. Bye.